Are you curious how pleasure leads to abundance and how orgasmic birth can affect your financial freedom? We have a really special conversation for you today. Hi, I'm Debra Pascali-Bonaro, founder and director of Orgasmic Birth and host of the Orgasmic Birth podcast. And if you're inspired to join a global community of doulas, midwives, nurses, birth workers dedicated to learning, growing, and healing with pleasure, or if you're pregnant and looking for an orgasmic birth practitioner, click the link in the show notes to learn more about all our orgasmic birth offerings. So, welcome to today's episode. I have to tell you, I am so honored and thrilled to have Amira Gorski as our guest. Amira is an orgasmic birth doula, a pleasure coach, and founder of the Pleasurable Birth Movement, which spans Germany, Austria, and Switzerland. She's recently published a book full of inspiring orgasmic birth stories called Lustgeburt. Amira has supported thousands of women on their journey, helping them embrace physical, sexual, and financial pleasure. In addition, her Lustrom orgasmic space, she teaches about yoni eggs and orgasmic business workshops. She also trains women to become financially free as lust coaches or Lustgeburt doulas. Amira also supports women and couples through their own orgasmic births, experiences, and beyond. She is a torch brightening up the path to orgasmic revolution, small r, big E, as she gives us the courage to rebuild and walk this path to who we are in truth. She says women can learn orgasmic joy because it's her essence of being. Oh, I read those words, Amira, and just breathed in how beautiful the work is that you do. I am honored to welcome you today.
Wow, I'm also honored. I'm kind of, wow, it's so much that you're reading out there, or that you say, I'm like, that's me. Oh, wow, yes, that's me. It's really, wow, thank you. I'm so happy to be here and yeah, talk to you about these beautiful topics. And wow, and I want to say because it's really interesting in the German and English word, because I always use the word Lust. In English, you would say lust. And it's a German word for pleasure. So, because if you say lust in English, it means something slightly different. It's not so positive. And so it's more like, yeah, like pleasure. But in German, it's a beautiful word because it also includes like enjoying to do something or wanting to do something, you're really exciting to do something, but also sexual pleasure. So that's why I love this word. But
Yes.
it's not the same in English. So, yeah.
No, so thank you for pointing that out to me and to all our listeners. So I know that so much of what we do starts in our own experiences, and you've had orgasmic births. Would you kind of tell us a little bit about them and how that led to what you do, what happened?
Yes, oh, I love to do. I try to do it not so long. It's always not so easy for a woman to, to tell it in short. I know. Yeah, so it started almost 10 years ago. My daughter, she's really big now. Oh my God. And yeah, I was pregnant with my first child, and I was really into this natural birthing, and I knew that I didn't want to go to hospital. So I had nice surroundings with a lot of open-minded people. And I was in Berlin, what it's really like the multicultural hippie city in Germany. So it was not so difficult for me to do this decision. But still, in the beginning, I wanted to go to a birthing center because I thought, I was at this time, I was a student and I was living in a flat sharing with other people. And I thought, nah, you can't do a home birth, because I don't have a big home. In German, it's the word house birth, and I don't have a house. I just have a small, tiny room in a small flat in sixth floor. And so I thought it can't be. It was just not in my mind. And so I started with the birthing center, but the midwives, I didn't really connected with them. And I was really proud of myself that then, like in the eighth month, I decided, okay, I will do it at home, because we at a party we met another couple, really young couple. And he came from his birth experience at home with his girlfriend. And he was telling my partner, wow, it's the best thing you can do as a man. It changed me. It changed my whole life. You have to do it at home. And just because of that, we were like, oh, we should try that. It sounds really nice. It's like this coincidence. And yeah, so then luckily I found a midwife. What's not easy in Germany to find a midwife because there are not so many left who do it at home. And I also found a doula, but I just put her, I just hired her for my partner because he wasn't into this thing, and I thought he needs someone who translate what we are doing here. So, but in the end, it was really the perfect team that I had around, because the midwife, she wasn't there a lot because there was so much traffic and another birth, and she just came in the end, kind of. And I was there with my partner and the beautiful doula. Um, and it was really, I mean, in the beginning, I was just fucked up and I was hiding under the table and was like, where can I hide because of this pain? I couldn't cope with it. And I was like, I had no idea and I didn't practice anything. I was like lost. But then the doula came and sit under this little, really little small chair, not chair, like table, really small. I was under. She came and sat with me and said, shall we breathe together? And I was like, okay. And it was really nice. So she walked me out of this kind of panic thing, and it was really at the beginning of the birth. And then I made my way through all of this, and I did a lot of dancing. And the doula always put my partner, go to her, hug her, well, dance with her. I always heard her whispering to him, and it was beautiful because he wouldn't, he need this little push. And so we did a lot of hugging and being together and feeling, but also with myself. I was dancing a lot. I have candles everywhere, and I used all rooms of the flat. So my flatmates, they were hiding somewhere on the balcony, and I were everywhere. It was really funny. And yeah, and I went better and better with the waves that were coming, with the contractions. And I know there was a certain point, it was kind of the peak, like the 10 centimeters something. And I was really tired and really fucked up, like this kind of end part. And the doula, she had a really good sense of it, how to guide it. And she said, maybe we should leave her alone. And I was just sitting there half asleep because I was so tired. It was like 10 hours. It was not so long, but I had longer births now as a doula. But for me, it felt really long. It was like 10 hours. And I was so tired, but I couldn't sleep. I couldn't lay down. I have to sit. And I was sitting and always like sleeping in between this 2 minutes or 1 minute, falling asleep a little bit and then coming back. And then the wave really, really rolled in. And then this moment of being alone with this was really strong for me and really important, because it was the biggest movement of surrender. And before, I was always kind of distracted by the others, like be shy, be don't make any noise, just go out, no move. I was always, I hear everything and no. And when everyone was out, it was just me and this waves rolling in. And I wanted to sleep. And then I suddenly decided, I don't care about the waves. I just sleep. I don't care. And so I kind of went into a really big trance where I didn't work with the contractions. Before, I always, did like some movement and yawning and everything. But then from the outside, it looked as I would be asleep. I did nothing. But in the inside, I really went off my body, and I were somewhere outside of my body on top of it. But there was one part who witnessed what I was doing. It was really interesting. I still remember my thinking, my thoughts. And it was like, it was like a really detachment, I really just thought something like, oh, there's a next wave coming. Oh, it will kill my back. Oh no, it's breaking my spine. It feels like it would break my spine. But the pain was not arriving really. It was just this really hard pictures I had, and oh no, there's a lot of blood coming out of me, then it opened. and it blooded more. And I
Right.
realized all of this, but in a really detached movement that was like, oh, that's interesting. Oh, that's really interesting. And then with this blood, when I saw it, it kind of moved me back into the body. And I was back in the body. And from this moment on, I was just laughing, laughing my ass off. Nothing, there was no pain anymore. And before it was really, 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 really strong. But I was really back in the body, but I experienced it completely the other way around to how I experienced it before. And it was just laughing and giggling and like, ha! And I was like, I wanted to get them back in the room because of the blood, because I wasn't so sure if it's normal. And I know that I said, ha ha, I'm bleeding. I think I will die. Ha ha ha. I was really like this.
Oh
And
my
my partner
goodness,
was,
right?
whoa. My partner was so shocked, and I was just giggling. He thought I will, I will. I don't know what he thought, but the doula was cool, and she said, "Oh, maybe we should call the midwife back. I think we need her. This could be, you know." And I was just giggling, and all the waves that are coming were really giggling and sparkling and really intense still. And then the midwife came, and of course she wanted to check my vagina. Of course, like what midwife wants to do when they come, and and then she checked, and she said, "Whoa, Amira, there's something like I don't know, cervix lip in German.
Yes, that's
Lip, yeah,
correct. A lip.
yeah. So because of the head of the
Push.
baby until yeah, so something I can't explain it. Probably, maybe you can.
Yeah. But you get when you're almost fully dilated, the head is there and there's just this little lip that needs to open. It's kind of like you're 9.5 and you have to get to 10. And if you press too much on it, it can swell, right? So they want you to kind of ease that part.
Yeah, and it was already swollen because it had some pressure already when she came in, and it was already swollen. And she said, "Amira, I have to pull it away or
Yes.
push it away with my finger, and it will hurt." And she said that,
It really hurts usually.
yes, and I said, "Yeah," and she did it, and while she did it, I had an orgasm. So it was the opposite of hurt. It was an orgasm. I can't really say, it was really her hand in my vagina, and this movement, it was like a cervix orgasm because of this
Right.
movement, what she did. And then of course the head. And it was really funny because, I knew nothing about orgasmic birth before. I didn't watch the movie. I knew nothing about it. And but because then at this moment, my partner, he was not my husband, was sitting behind me, like I was leaning on him, at him, and and I moved to him and said, "Ha ha ha! I'm having sex with our midwife." That was coming out at this moment through my mouth. It was just like this word of sex. It felt like sex, so I said it. And I didn't have any shame at this moment anymore, or anything that was judging my words. So I was saying this, haha, I'm having sex with our midwife. And she was really cool. She was an older one, she experienced a lot. And she said, "No, no, honey, maybe you have sex with your baby." And I was like, okay, that's strange. That's even stranger. It was both was strange, but it was really this moment and these two phrases that after the birth bring me to orgasmic birth, because it came out of my mouth and I never expected something like that. Yeah, so after this, the head comes down, and there was, I don't remember how much time, maybe 20 minutes, half an hour, something like this. It felt really not much time when the baby came out, but still this orgasmic feeling was still there. Also when she came out, it was a lot of power and all this, and I screamed, but it was still nice in a way. And still, this orgasmic feeling when the midwife was doing this was so strong, and it holded the rest of the period in a way, although there was not orgasms like at this moment, but it was still very, yeah, it was a lot of pleasure in there, and it was really, really beautiful. And and she came out perfectly and everything was perfect, so it was really, really nice. And also Actually, the placenta birth, I don't remember. That's really interesting. I was so high. I had so many, but it has to come something natural. And also, I didn't know something about lotus birth or, I wasn't in all of this stuff like I'm now. And so I can't really remember how it went out, but it probably was also easy. And yeah, it was really interesting. So this was my birth story, and shall I give you a moment to breathe, maybe?
I have to say, well, thank you. What an honor to hear it and to just hear all the pieces. There's so much I'm taking in from you. I could see you kind of under that little table and your doula, as we know as doulas ourselves now, right? To know that wisdom to guide you and then guide your partner as doulas do so beautifully. And then for you to feel so open and vulnerable, right? That as your midwife did remove the lip, right? And I love that your story, this brought you the orgasm because I often, right, we don't talk about that cervical orgasms are a part of life and how have we detached the opportunity for pleasure in birth, right? And so you just let your body do what your body does so well. So what a beautiful orgasmic birth story. I'm sure listeners too are each taking in all different pieces. And after your birth, now, like, you weren't planning on an orgasmic birth. It planned on having you up in new ways. So what happened next? What came from all of that awareness and feeling and pleasure?
Yeah, so the beginning was really not easy because I came out of that and I was confused because of all this sexuality in birth that I never expected and how beautiful it can be. I never expected. It was really, I know the moment, when the baby was there, I had it on my chest and my partner behind, and the first phrase, I was not like, hello, baby. My first phrase was, can we do it again? So it was my first phrase, and yeah, unluckily I still have just one child, but this is other reasons, but not because I wouldn't like to birth again. But yeah, so it was really, I had this feeling of, I had a strong sense of, okay, and now know I experienced the truth. That was the feeling of, that's how birth is meant to be. That was the feeling I had. It was so clear. It was, yes, why should nature do it different than that? Of course. It was so there. But then I was confronted with the rest of the world and everyone who I tried to tell something about it just because, just a home birth. And then it was a good birth. What? No, Papa. It was really, and when I then moved to the part of I had an orgasm, it was, it was really even, friends of mine who also experienced home births who were like open for natural births. They were all like, I mean, are you sure? Nah, it was really, there was no understanding. And your movie, I mean, it was out there, but in Germany, no one, I think no one watched it so far. And yeah, so it was really hard for me in the beginning because it makes the feeling in myself of, okay, am I wrong or all others? You know, all the others are
Right.
wrong or am I wrong? It was, it didn't, it's like two worlds. It didn't fit together anymore. And it kind of crashed a little bit of my world, how I thought, and this always makes uncertainty, if there's something crashing in your stability of how you think the world is. So it was really a finding, and still, of course, like, being postpartum with a baby, and I mean, that's also really crazy. But then after, yeah, I don't know, when she was half a year, I started to become myself again more. Then I started to research, and then I found your movie. Hallelujah. It was the best thing that I found your movie. And I thought, oh, I'm not alone. I'm not alone with that. It was so really, yeah, to give you this back. I'm so honored that I can tell you this now here in our conversation. It was so important for me to find this movie and see I'm not alone with that. I'm not unnormal. I'm not atypical. No, it's just no one talks about in there more, and this may give me a lot of strength back, and that, yeah, I'm right, and now I go and tell everyone. So it was directly when I had this piece, it was like this missing link, and when I had this piece of information, then the fire went up and I was burning, and I don't know. I quite fast. I realized I want to become a doula because I want to work. Also, I want to give this. I want to share this. And I don't know. Tara, maybe she was 2 or something. So I was burning. I couldn't wait until the baby is big enough. I have to do this, and I read all books of births and blah blah. And then I started to do YouTube videos with no clue of anything. They were so they were so funny. I watch them now, with all the technical equipment. They were really like shitty quality, but it was so important. I did them. I thought I have to tell the world, and it was a brave thing to do, and
Right.
friends can watch this and so on, and my family, but I did this, and it was really fast that I had a lot of, comments, or not even comments, more private messages
Messages,
of
yes.
people, of women who said, I also experienced this, but I never told anybody. So it was either this woman or a pregnant woman who came and say, can you help me? I also want this. So it was really, I didn't thought about, okay, I became a doula of orgasmic births. It was not planned for me. It really kind of happened to be, because there were so many who wanted it.
Yes.
And it was yeah, and I started with YouTube videos, and then I went a lot of Facebook and blah and all the social media stuff. And I started this first for pregnant women, and then I did my doula education course and started to help couples. But then I thought, oh, well, I just have to be there and tell them, and then they also can have an orgasmic birth. And I like, oh, no. And it didn't work like that. And so this was also a big learning for me to understand, no, just because it was so easy for me doesn't mean that it has to be so easy for the others. And so I understood that I had a lucky position, for example, I never experienced anything, um, uh, the words like in my uni, it's everything, nothing it's hurt. There was no, um, how's the word? Rape something
Yeah,
stuff.
no trauma.
Yeah,
So,
exactly. Yeah, so
yes,
I have a trauma-free pelvis, and this is
right.
beautiful. And there are not many women who has this actually at this
Correct.
age, And and I had a beautiful partner, and I was having a lot of sexuality, had a lot of libido, and I was having sex the whole pregnancy through. That was also a good preparation,
Yes,
And I had
very good preparation.
and I had also like, yeah, I had really like coincidentally, I prepared perfectly well. And I met him at a meditation center. So we meditated a lot, and I was really good into going into this trance states. I practiced it a lot, not for birth, I didn't know that, but I did it. I was really easy to have this access. And the third thing was also like to be really into my body. I just before I did a 2-year course of contemporary dance. So I danced every day 8 hours. So I was so into my body, and I knew everything, how to move. And, so I had a lot of really good starting points to have this. And that's not what all women has. So yeah, so it was a learning. And then I was really on fire with like exploring how I can bring the woman back to her pleasure, because that's what it meant to be. It's not like just a birth, you need to do it before, and like you said so perfectly, you birth how you live your life. And so yeah, and so I started to do like coachings and develop a lot of tools how to bring, the woman to pleasure. And after a period of time, there were also other women coming to me and say, I'm not pregnant, but I also want this. Can you help me? And so after a while, I had couples with their sexuality. I helped them, and I had a lot of women. I did like online courses and all of this stuff, and it went really fast. And it was funny, yeah, how it then affected everything in my life. And I realized because of course my pleasure also developed. I mean, I was already in a good starting point, but still, there's always space to go
Always more.
more and everything. So of course, all these techniques I developed in my own body. So I went through all of that, and I opened up myself, and I at this time I was a single mom, and still I had so much pleasure and so much fun, and I realized, okay, it's in myself. It has nothing to do just with the partner. And so I teach about a lot about masturbation and about how we can expand all of this, and also the energetically part of all of that. And yeah, and it was funny because after a time, a lot of women coming to me and say, ah, Mira, I don't know, but since I'm doing all your stuff, all your pleasure stuff and freeing and healing and blah, suddenly the money is flowing in.
And that's what I was going to ask you next.
Yes,
Right.
so it was just my story in a way. Yeah, yeah.
And can you talk more about that? Because I think that is so important, that gets under kind of utilized, is how pleasure, and I love how you say that, like we can use pleasure to prepare for an orgasmic birth, but we can also birth many things in our life, right? And many times we're birthing a business or another project. And as you say, that pleasure that you open up often manifests in many ways. So, how do you prepare people that want to amplify that pleasure in whatever way? A baby, a business.
Yes, actually, it's really the similarities are there. It's if it's a physical baby or a business baby, it's always the same. Yeah, the same way that we have to open and to channel and guide the energies and to be pregnant with something. And also, in the beginning, you always need this receiving mode, because otherwise you can't receive either a sperm or an idea or an energy or money. It's always this receiving, and we receive through our vagina. Yeah, I mean, and I think a lot of like spiritual practice are just for the heart, and I think women are really good in heart opening. We need to go more down and really open this canal also in an energetic way, but also physics and all this trauma that it's hidden everywhere there. So to see what are the
Blockages?
blockages, and work with this, yes, and really to open up this energy and to have this wide open vagina. There's all this beautiful song you showed
Yes,
us.
I love it.
Exactly.
Storm large. My vagina is 8 miles wide.
Yes, maybe you can also put
Everyone
this
can
in the
come
show notes,
inside.
please.
Yes, I will. I'll add the link. I love her.
Yes, yes, because that's the energy almost no woman is walking through life. We all experience something that make us to hide and to close and to be careful and safe, and the world is an unsafe place. And that's the wrong attitude to receive. It's the opposite. It's not surrender, it's not receiving, it's not open. And so it's really a work to this for most of women to come to this point that they walk through life with an open vagina in a way, and say, yes, life, come on, fill me, come on, penetrate me in a way. And because we all have sexuality learned with so much sin and yeah, dirt and shame and all of that, it's the opposite. So just because I say penetrate me live, for Germans ears, they would shut directly just because of this phrase. So it's really a path for the most of women to come to this point and to change how we judge sexuality and what sexuality can be and how holy it can be, all this way. And then so that is the first. We first need to be in a receiving mode. And I mean, there are a lot of tools, of course, like body work and working with the trauma, and working with the pleasure, and that's what I love, because what I realized in my work is that we have such a strong image how healing has to be painful. It's the same how we all think birth has to be painful, you know? And when I realized, no, that's not true. Even birth, what are the most terrible pains in the world, a woman can, a man, a human can experience. And when I just, even this, I experience as pleasure. So that means I can experience pleasure everywhere. And
Everywhere.
so
Oh,
same for healing, and there it's just, you know, it starts in our mindset that we decide and surrender to this. It's the same, it's just, you know, I put everything that I learned as a doula and that I give to the clients, I give also to my business clients, and because it's the same principles of surrendering to the pain and
right.
changing how you judge it, and you know, all of that, and not fighting against it, but yeah, making love with it. And so it's really nice. So I developed also a lot of techniques of orgasmic healing, you know, because of course all women has to heal in this part of their body. And so so this healing doesn't have to go to all this trauma in a really drama way. No, it can be by using pleasure. And that is so beautiful. And you can do it to your own. You can do it with the yoni egg. I also work a lot with, you know, this beautiful crystals that you can put in the yoni and carry in the yoni, and they have, you know, a certain energy, and they work with your yoni as well. And there's also a lot of trauma release that you don't even realize at this moment. And
Yes.
you work with it a few days, a few weeks, and you say, "Oh, suddenly it's easier. I don't know why, but suddenly I can open more for my partner, and I didn't know why." You know, so it's really nice. It's a really soft way of also working with this body parts. And so there are a lot of beautiful tools and techniques that we can do, but it's also a lot of what you're teaching as well, like pleasure up your daily routines and all of that, really, like all the sensuality in how we receive nature and how we use our senses, and always like a lot of this holiness and sacredness of sexuality, making love with nature, with the sun, with the earth. You know, there's, I mean, what we know from sexuality is it's so less. It's just a really little tiny part, like what, you know, what we say it's sexuality. And the truth is, it's so huge, it's so big, and there's so much to experience and to learn and to explore. And that's nice when couple can do it together, a woman can do it on her own, and it's amazing what opens up just, you know, by this doing this with a lot of curiosity. And yeah, yeah. So
Oh,
far.
you said so much that I totally feel and agree with. Oh, Amira, this has been so wonderful to hear how your story has brought you to help so many others. And I agree. I mean, our sexuality, our sacredness, it's a part of all of us. And most people, because of shame and pain and trauma, have shut down so much. And it's just beautiful was we're working, right, to help every person to open in their own way and really embrace that. So I want to ask you one last thing for all our listeners that maybe are thinking of conceiving or are pregnant, maybe they're due any day now. What would be a tip that you would give to them about preparing for an orgasmic birth?
I would really like start at the roots of masturbating, really, and also here opening up the space of what masturbation can be. I don't like the word so much, so I say making love with yourself, and really, yeah, doing love with yourself in so many ways, like by oiling yourself, or you know, and also realizing what it's doing to your energy, and what it's doing. You know, we always make self-love, and we always talking about I need more self-love. Also, it's a big issue in you know, receiving money. It's do I think if I'm worth of it? It's the most thing
Correct.
of all women, also about being visible with the business or something. It's always the problem. It's always, you know, the self-worthiness. And this is the problem, that it's the self-love. And we are talking a lot about this. And But in the end, it's not about talking. It is as it's our relationship we have with ourselves. And just make the comparison to your partner. If you would have a partner and he would be really nice and always say one time a day to you, I love you, and he would do this for ages. Is it enough? No, it's not enough. You want to feel him. You want to hug him, to embrace him. You want that he's having sex with you. You want so much more than the stereotype of I love you. And that's what most women that I know are doing. And they're doing, I'm practicing self-love. I say to myself one time a day in the mirror that I love myself. And I say, yeah, that's a nice start, but come on, you want to feel you in all of your body, all everywhere inside of you. It's also part of you. And as you want that your partner loves every centimeter in your vagina and everything of your body, that's what you want. Yeah, that's also what you want from yourself. And you need this first. We know this. We know that we can just be loved as much as we love ourselves, and also give love as much as we are able to love ourselves. And so if we want to improve anything about our sexuality, it doesn't matter for birth or for life or for money or for business, then we need always to start really in this active self-love, in this really self-love with all senses, because we came to this body, to this world with our body. We are not just brain and spirituality and mind. No, we have this beautiful body, and we need it. We need to use it and to embody it. And so it makes no sense to and birth we do with the body. So, and we can decide if our body is tuned in into really orgasmic feelings or not, and it's just in the brain. So yeah, and it helps, it's so beautiful because it always helps. It doesn't matter how your birth will be in the end or how the money flows in. It really doesn't matter, because if you do it, you do so many self-satisfaction to yourself that you are satisfied. And this also brings another energy into the universe that will answer, that's manifesting, that's how creation it's at its best. Yeah. And the more satisfied you are, the less you are in the lack of anything. And if we are in the lack, we manifest more lack. And if we are satisfied, then the beautiful things can come in. So this is a state of dissatisfaction that we have after after an orgasm, for example. That is the energy we need to manifest to create anything in life. So that's why I love to manifest with my sexual energy. It's the energy that everything is done out. The whole universe probably was made out of an orgasm, I think. So
A lot of love, right? A lot of love. Well, what a great way to come to an end of our podcast, because that was beautiful. I think I have to listen to that again. And I hope our listeners, I really hope you're going to be manifesting so much love and juiciness, embracing what's holding you back to fully receive. And I know, Amir, people want to know, how can they be in touch with you? Where can they follow you on social? What are you offering? Tell us where to find you.
yeah, thank you. Yeah, I mean, at the moment, most of my homepage, my web pages and everything, it's in German, but I think that a lot of Google translations
Oh,
now, it's not
totally.
a problem anymore.
Google's getting good now. It
Yeah,
used to
it's
be
really good.
terrible, but now they'll understand.
Yeah, so my it's called like Lustgeburt, like pleasure birth, like Lustgeburt. We write it and .de. And yeah, you can find there a lot of also the uni eggs, because I also sell them. I have really special uni eggs that are energized and energetically cleaned and everything. So you can, yeah, you can get them. And I think I give you like a discount. You can find it like a 20% discount if you want to, yeah, use it for the first time, or choose a beautiful rose quartz or whatever. So yeah, so this is a really nice starting point, to have this beautiful tool and work with it. And yeah, but and there's a lot more. I also educate like you do, but in German and online and offline, and having a big festival in the summer. So if you are in Germany, just come hop to us in the middle of Germany. We have a Pleasure Birth Festival, and it's a lot of doulas coming and midwives, and yeah, so it's really nice. Yeah, I'm looking forward. And you can find me, of course, everywhere: YouTube, Facebook, Instagram. Yeah, we link it under it.
Perfect. And we will have all those links in show notes. So for all of you, wherever you're listening, go down into the notes and you can click over and follow Amira on social. And I love yoni eggs. So for anyone who doesn't have them, look for the 20% code off. Thank you so much for that. And thank you for joining us, sharing your amazing orgasmic birth and all that you're birthing into the world, and supporting so many people to have orgasmic births and businesses. And to everyone listening, thank you again for joining us today. We look forward to you joining us next week. And if you haven't yet rated or reviewed us, please do. That helps us reach more people. Share this episode with a friend that could benefit. And we wish you lots of pleasure. Bye.